Hello everyone. In the previous video, we have talked about analysis of algorithm and we have also discussed one term called asymptotic analysis. Let us now talk about asymptotic analysis. This is the analysis we do most of the time. When we talk about analysis of algorithm, we talk about asymptotic analysis only. The terms like big O notation, theta notation, omega notation, you hear about a lot. These all terms are related to asymptotic analysis only. And these terms are called asymptotic notations. The thing about asymptotic analysis is we evaluate the performance of an algorithm in terms of input size. We calculate how the time taken by an algorithm increases with respect to input size. The best thing about asymptotic analysis is it doesn't depend upon the programming language and doesn't depend upon the machine. One more thing about asymptotic analysis, you don't have to implement the algorithm, right? You have some logic in your mind, you just write the steps and you can analyze it using asymptotic analysis. In the previous video, we write 3 different approaches for sum of a natural number problem. We would just write the ideas of the approaches and can analyze which is most efficient using asymptotic analysis. We no need to implement the code itself. So let us understand asymptotic analysis using these solutions that we wrote earlier. So this is the first approach to get sum of n natural numbers. We are using a direct formula here. What we are doing in this function is we are doing an addition, we are doing a multiplication, and then we are doing a division, right? So we assume that any operation will take constant amount of time irrespective of input size. Whether you add 10 million to 100 million or you add 5 to 1, this is always assumed to take the same time in asymptotic analysis. So what we are saying is we are doing 3 operations and all the 3 operations will take constant amount of time irrespective of input values. So this is why the time taken for this algorithm will be C1. So now look about the second function. In this function, we are running a loop from 1 to n and then we are doing sum equals to sum plus I. So this expression is happening n times and then there are certain expressions that are happening only once. For example, you can see sum equals to 0 is happening once. The initialization of I equals to 1 is also happening once. Then the return sum is also happening once. So there are some things which are executed constant amount of times and some others are executing n times, like sum equals to sum plus I. So that is why the time taken by this algorithm will be C2n plus C3. Let us now see the third example. In this example, we have the expression which is being executed n into n plus 1 by 2 times. We are just incrementing the sum these many times. So now if I trying to compute how many times this expression is evaluated, we get n square by 2 plus n by 2. So you got the expression of time taken by all of 3 functions. See, here I write the time taken for actual implementation only. Now let us get an idea of order of growth as well. So how are these time taken helpful to figure out the order of growth? See, to give you a quick answer, what we are going to do is we are simply going to take the leading terms of these expressions. So let's now get the understanding of order of growth and how these expressions help us to figure out the order of growth. So let us take some example values. Let's say you and your friend wrote 2 approaches. So you wrote the efficient approach, the first one, and your friend wrote the second one, right? And you ran it on a machine where the value of C1 is 13 and you run on a slower machine where it takes 13 units of time to do this work. This is a constant amount of work, you can say, and your friend ran it on a different machine and this machine is slightly faster than you. And say for your friend, the time is for C3 it's taken 5 units of time, right? So your friend got this expression. Now let's try to make a graph to visually see how the algorithm works. So here is the graph and the y-axis represent the input size n. It's represent as n and for the 13 units of time the first function will take. So it will be function 1 and the point is 13. C1 equals to 13. It takes 13 units of time to execute. And for the second function which your friend wrote, it's 5 taking 5 units of time, right? So the function is depending upon n, so it will be like this. It is increasing, it's linear, and it will be fun too. And one thing you can see here, it's like there is an intersection point, and this intersection point represents something, and this is where this is from this intersection point your friend function will take long time, because your time always takes constant amount of time irrespective of input values, and after certain amount of time you can see from this intersection point your friend's code will be much slower than you. So you got the idea how this host case, this big O of thing works, right? So in the next video we will talk more about that. So that's it for now. Bye bye.